Okay, so in the last video we have seen formatting and concatenation of string. So in this video we are going to see slicing of the string. So before we talk about slicing, let's just talk about indexing, because that is very important, not just in slicing but also in programming in general, right? So what is indexing? First let's create a variable, then I explain what is indexing. So here, as we discussed that while learning string, that string is nothing but group of characters. There are multiple characters, each represent a character here. Sorry. Okay, so each represent a character here. So indexing is nothing but the position of that character, right? So in counting, in real world, we just, when we do counting start from one. We just count like 1 2 3 4. But in programming, we have a different approach. We start indexing from zero. So indexing is basically position, and it starts from zero. So here if we talk about these characters, so it starts from zero. So here at is at basically at zeroth index. So it goes like 0, then 1 here, then 2, then 3, then 4, 5, and goes on, right? So it starts from 0, right? So let me show you something here. And if I want to get the value at 0th index, very first index, right? As I told you, it starts from 0. So we got h as output. We just print it. So what I did here is, I want value. I use this square bracket, and inside that mentioned here the index. I want the value of at the 0th index of this variable, and which is h, right? So if I say, let's say I want the value of the 4th index, so that is o. So why o? So here h is at 0th index. So as 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. At 4th index we have this 0, right? So that is about indexing. What if I do here 12? I want the value of the 12th index. So we got an error here which says index error, string index out of the range. So we have this index starting from 0 and goes up to something like 10. I think 10 is the last index, right? Yes, we have the last index 10, and at 10th index we have the value d here. Okay, so let's go to slicing. So basically indexing is very important in slicing, and I tell you why. Because to do slicing we do something like this, then I'll explain you. We have this starting position, and we do slicing totally by indexing. We have this 0, this is the starting point, and then this colon, and then we add the, let's say, ending point here. So now if I print this, and then I will explain. So we got this hello. So basically, first and foremost, what is slicing? Slicing is nothing but extracting a portion of string. So we are just extracting a portion of this string, right? So here we want the portion that start from this value, start from this index, then goes up to, but not including to, this point. So it includes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but not 6. It do not include 6. It goes up to this point but excluding to this, right? So if I mention 7 here, what do we get? First let me clear this. So it starts from 0 and goes up to 7 but do not include 7. So this is how it works, right? This is the starting point, and this is the ending point up to this point but not including to this, right? So this is basically the slicing. If I want to get the portion that starts from 3rd index and goes up to 9th index, right? So now we have this portion, this slice of this string that start from here, 3rd index, and goes up to 9th index. So 3 4 5 6, 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So this is what we get the output, right? There is also another thing that, as I told you, string start from 0th index, right? But there is also concept of negative indexing. So if this is 0th index, this is -1. I know it's a bit tricky at first, but let's just show you what is -1 here. So -1 is basically the last index. It is basically negative indexing, and negative indexing is start from here. So it is basically -1, -2, -3, and goes up to like this. So if I do something like this, -1, let's say I want an indexing that is start from -5 and goes up to -1. So we got the slice that start from -5. So basically -1, -2, -3, -4 and -5. So start from here and goes up to -1, but not including the -1. So we got this output of WORL. So this is basically slicing. We can also add steps like this. Let's say I want a string from 0 to 8, and with the steps there is also a third option that you can add, which is called steps. I just explain to you what is steps. So here it starts from 0, right? But step means that it works like alternative way. It just include this, then exclude this, and then again L, then it exclude this, and then this one, and go to the eighth string, right, from here. So it's just like steps. If we add steps, 3 steps, so it works like this. Start from 0, and then the third from there. It exclude 2 here, and then the third one there, and from here exclude 2 here and the third one here. I know it's a bit tricky to understand, but this is how this slicing works. And there is also another thing that, as I mentioned, that this is the starting point, sorry, and here it's the ending point. But if I want to start, if I do not mention anything here, if I just mention ending point and I just keep the starting point empty, then what do I get? If I do not mention anything, then it's by default it starts from the first index, the 0th index in fact. And same way, if I mention something like this but do not mention ending point, then it goes up to the ends. So if I do not mention anything here, starting point or ending point, right, then it covers the full string. So basically it starts from 0 by default, 0th index, and goes up to the last index. So this is basically slicing in the string. I know it's tricky at first to understand. It start from 0th index, and you can cut the portion. Slicing is basically nothing but getting a portion of the string, right? If you do not put anything here, then it starts from 0 and goes up to the last string here. And if you start something like this and do not put anything here in the end point, then it goes up to the last index, right? You can also add steps between how many you want to cover. If you put 1 here, then it take every index, right? If you put 2, then it skips index between the values. So it works something like this, right? So this is basically slicing in the string. So in the next video we are going to see methods in the string. Okay, thank you for watching.